Alright, hi guys. Just wanted to make a quick video of this repair. Hopefully it'll be really easy. So recently on a trip to Thailand, I brought my GoPro. I had this sitting on top of the bag and it fell off and hit a rock. And they had like the fancy granite stones, right? So this thing hit like a piece of granite right on the lens, and you'd see the chip. You can actually, if you put your fingernail over it, there's an indentation. It goes in, and it was even to the point where the more I did that with my fingernail, the more piece of lens came off, like little grains of lens. So it was like, I was like a week or two into the vacation, a month-long vacation. So what I ended up doing on the trip was basically just holding the camera out and making sure that this was always out of the field of view that I wanted to capture. I generally don't like to have the main subject be around the outside rim, because that's where you get the stitching effect. But in this case, I really didn't want that in my field of view. So I either had that be in the back and the subject in front, or this like at the top. And it worked out. I got some pretty good shots. I haven't really looked over my video all that much. And this is all just like bugs, because I had put it outside the car one time while I was driving, and all the bug splatters. But anyway, to repair this, I thought, oh, no worries, I'll just get a lens and repair it. And I came home and quickly learned that, oh, you don't repair these lenses, you just buy a new camera. I think that's like GoPro's stance, right? And so then I started looking on YouTube, and I saw a video, some guy like drilling this out and putting a new lens in there. And I thought, whoa, that's extreme. Really don't want to do that. And there's too many variables, like, what happens to all that sawdust, the plastic dust that goes into the lens and cavity and all that stuff. What happens if you don't get the new lens in the proper alignment and all of that. Just too many unknowns, and I just didn't want to chuck the camera. I'd rather use it with the chip. And so I started looking for other options, and I noticed one guy had two cameras, and he was able to unscrew the lens and save one of the cameras by taking the lenses off the other camera. And so I thought, surely I could find lenses. So I started searching, and I found the lens itself, but not the socket that the lens is attached to. And those were about $40. But then I came across the listing on, I think it was AliExpress, for the whole lens unit, $140 for the lens unit, which is two of them. And I thought, $70 per lens. I'll get two. I only need one right now. I'll have a backup, and maybe I can even sell these boards and sensor units, since I don't really need them. I don't want to open up the camera, because then I have to worry about, then I have a whole nother problem. What if I don't get all the connections right? How do I reseal the unit itself? I'm not really worried too much about water intrusion, because I don't use the camera in underwater. But anyway, so this is what came. It came in this box, in this bag, like this, with these little throwaway covers. And so I pulled that out and started take one off, and started really twisting on this thing. And really quickly, this thing just went ink and pulled apart. And I was like, oh, well, I broke the sensors. But then I started looking, and I really did not break the sensors. They just got a piece of plastic in there, and they've glued this all together with some glue. You can see the strips of glue in there, and so the glue just broke, right? And so to score, I just made it easier to work on these things. And so, so this is about where I'm at. What I then did is I, take this lid off and started examining it. And, is it even going to work? Does it look like the same thing? And sure enough, it does look like the same lens replacement, that inner ring there. And so that was happy, because you never know what you're going to get from some of these Alibaba, AliExpress, Wish type sites, right? And so the next thing I was like, well, can I unscrew this? And with my hand, I wasn't able to unscrew it, even though I just did there. But what I was able to do is then utilize, I grabbed onto this thing, just being fearless here. I grabbed onto this thing with a pair of pliers. And so I was able to grab it like that. And this was the scary part, because I really didn't want to damage this lens, right? But at the same time, I was trying to put rubber, like I put some electrical tape around it, and that just peeled off. And so what I did is I just manned up, took this, seated it around the outside, and with some firm grip was able to twist those. And it just took a little bit. Twisted that just a little bit. And then I was able to do it by hand. And so at that point, then you just turn this thing and it comes out. Voila. Now, on the videos that I've seen of people taking these out, or the one video I saw, some guy took these out and replaced them with the units from another camera. There was a seal in here, and he was having problems because he was damaging the seal. He didn't know if he could get a new seal. Looks like this unit does not come with the seal. In my mind, I imagine that this unit is probably like from a GoPro factory somewhere in China, and they probably have a basket of these things that didn't pass inspection. Maybe the glue didn't cure properly or something, and they toss these to the side, right? And they're supposed to go to some junk pile or something, and some guy pulls them out and they're like, yeah, we'll put these on Alibaba. I don't know. That's my thought process. Can't imagine someone making these things just for this fringe market. But anyway, this is what I'm looking for. This unit, maybe I can sell it, make back a few bucks. I don't know, but this is the money shot, right? So I'm at this point now, and I'm super happy because I think all I do is I pop this thing off, which apparently this outer ring is just glued on there. Pop that outer ring off. Use the wrench trick to pull this lens out. Push this lens in. Glue the outer ring down. And my GoPro is as good as new. That would be awesome for 140 bucks, and I have a spare. I have another one. So I can damage this thing one more time. So let's get to it, and let's try to pull this outer ring off. Some people say to heat it up. I'm just going to try to yank it off. Let's just see. Maybe you don't need heat. Maybe that's just somebody being paranoid. All right. So for this, I'm going to use this really high-tech tool. And so you'll see you can kind of get under that rim a little bit. And so I'm just going to come in here and see if I... Whoa, look at how easy that was. Yep. So this looks like it's coming right off. So I'm just going to go around slowly. Yep. Little by little. Ooh, look at that. Make sure I'm getting the right side. Yep. Almost. All right, that was pretty easy, and it all came off intact. And I think just a little bit of super glue and pop that thing right back on. No worse for the wear. So that comes off, but now I don't really have a lot to work with here on that rim. That rim is very, and when I tried pulling this off initially, it was very tight. So that just gives me very little to connect with. So let me see, does this come off further? Is this like a spacer? That is not like a spacer. That's like actually in a part of that, I do believe, because I don't see anything getting underneath that. Nope. So I gotta try to work with this little bit of a lip. It's not much, but we'll see. And I might need to use a different pair of pliers. I don't know, these old Christie things just might not have enough grip. I'm not too worried about damaging this thing, which I just did. I just put a little gouge right there, you can see. Another gouge. Felt like I was starting to get it to turn a little bit. There we go. All right, now look at how gouged up that thing is. I really screwed that thing, or I really messed that thing up right now. But it started to turn. So now apparently there's a rubber gasket of sorts under here that you want to try to keep intact. So let's see what that's about. Just go slow, not that it's hard. I couldn't do this with my fingers yet. And that's definitely the gasket that I'm starting to see pile up on the outside there. So I can start moving it with my fingers. And this gasket's definitely just like piling up. So I'm definitely doing some damage of sorts to that. And you can see that's now just starting to peel out. Got it to finger tight now. outside rim of the gasket just fell off. Another outside edge of the gasket just fell off. There's my lens. There's the camera socket. Put that over here. Lay it down that way so I don't get any dust or anything in there. Any bits of this gasket. And then looking at it, I don't see the gasket. A little, it's almost like it was a seal or something on the outside. But I'm not seeing like gasket per se in there. So anyway, I got it out. Wasn't a big deal. I did gouge this thing up, and there's probably ways you could do it a little less aggressive. If you had a better fit in plier set, or maybe a plastic plier, or I don't know, rubber gripped plier or something. But in my case, I don't care about this piece. This is going in the trash. I've got my ring in one piece. I can glue that back on. And I'm not too concerned about the rubber situation. So this is inside here. And yeah, it's around the outside edge. There's like a rubber strip. And so that is what came apart on me. Yeah, you can see it. It fits in these sockets here and then goes around. And so that's what came apart. So definitely not sealed anymore if I don't replace that, which I'm not going to bother. So, next step. I take my unit that I already pulled the lens out. Comes right out. And I very surgically pray that it screws into that same socket. So far, so good. Just go to tightness. Let me wipe off that lens, 'cause I just smeared it with my fingers. And that's the repair. Not that bad. And then I'm going to glue this back on. But I didn't have to open the camera. I certainly didn't have to drill out the camera. And you know, this thing's gonna just, do I got a battery in here? I think I took the batteries out. Yeah, let me go put a battery in. I'll show you, you know, that it powers up and all that good stuff. One sec. All right, so I got my battery here. Whoops, there goes my outer rim. So there's it from that lens, and then we can come and we can switch it. There we go. And now we're looking back at ourselves. Hello. Control your GoPro. So, and I hit that. There we go. Now we're in 360 mode. Okay. All right. So you can see the seam there. All right, so I just wanted to show what I've done to focus this lens. I found that bottoming it out with a wrench, like hand tight, it was still blurry, but with a wrench I'm able to get it to be pretty good. And the way I'm testing that is I open it up, I connect to the camera via my phone, and I've got some text. I've got a little my son's science book here. But I put the camera so it's on that seam, and in the preview you can see the seam, and I can then, you know, look at the difference on that seam. And when you can get it to be the same crispness of text, then it's you know, then you know you're pretty in focus. This lens, it's not quite as good optics as the original. I don't know if it's just a different batch, or maybe it was quality control, or maybe it's, you know, not a GoPro lens. But I think it's acceptable, and the focus seems to be pretty on. But you can see that line, right? And before, when it was hand tight, like, you couldn't read that science word. It was blurry. Whereas now it's still crisp, and it's all at about the same blurriness. You know, that third grade, the 3 there, is still a little blurred out. It's blurred out, kind of highly exposed on that. And then on that side too, it's about the same. So yeah, that line is kind of the test, right? And so you can just kind of sweep it back and forth and see, you know, get it close. And again, I just used the wrench and just torqued down. I am going to glue that ring back down, so it looks like this side. And yeah, otherwise I'm very happy with my purchase, and I've got a second lens that I can use if and when I scratch this one again. Keep my Max going. I'm sure I'll get a Max too. I love this little camera. But yeah, keep it going. Just slide the new lens in there, and you're all set. So I hope this is helpful. I will put some example videos on here. All right, just wanted to get some footage with this new lens on. So so this is me on the new lens. This is me on the old lens. This is me on the new lens. Slowly transition to the new lens. Old lens. Slowly transition to the new lens. New lens. All right, so let me get some different lighting conditions here. Because I'm kind of in the shade a little bit, maybe? I don't know. So this is me still in the new lens. This is me in the old lens. New lens. All right, here's some full sun maybe. Me in the new lens. Me in the old lens. New lens. Sorry, it's very bright. I have to close my eyes. New lens. Old lens. Now I was thinking one thing that I could do, if I have problems, which I don't think I do, is I could just pop the other lens in and have both new lenses, which would have degraded, I suspect not as good optics. So, but I think I'll be fine. And then you leave the second new lens for, you know, potential accidents down the road. One thing to note is I did have to really torque down that lens to get it focused, to get it in focus. So yeah, anyway, which would make sense since I had to really torque it out. I had to really grab onto it with a pair of pliers and just to get it to come out, break free. Yeah, so I am in the new lens. Now I'm in the old lens. New lens. Old lens. New lens. All right. So anyways, I hope these videos were helpful. Very easy, it turns out, to replace the lenses in a GoPro Max 360. Very, very easy. Hardest part is just gripping the lenses with a pair of pliers to enough to get them out and get them in, but not deform the outside edge. Turned out to be the hardest part, and maybe that's just the tool. I was using a pretty crude pair of pliers, so if you have like rubber gripped pliers, those might be best. So anyway, hope it's helpful. Bye bye.